I'll read your note, and your note has been marked as C3, and it says, Judge, in our initial finding, we awarded $18 million, and a breakdown, presuming $5 million, actual $5 million, and punitive $8 million. With your verdict and your note, your jury service in this case is complete. I truly have enjoyed working with you. You've been an attentive jury. Thank you so much for your service. You are discharged.
Judge, the defendant would like to thank the jury for their service.
Get out of my cat. Thank you so much. Everyone appreciates your service. Okay, so the court's decision, if we start at the end, the court is denying a request for mistrial, and everyone can file motions at the appropriate time, and the court will address everything after the motions are filed appropriately and then responded appropriately. Does anyone have any questions about anything?
No. Thank you so much.
Okay. Good luck to everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming on the record.
Well, when it's Anas, I remember Anas, and some day a bia kosopa, Ghana, a baby, one Canada Japan, ne 2 television, so. Any other platform was what Canada Japan call ya, or Coca Anas 17, na be any New Jersey, war America, United States of America, about so. Anas, one fast na Ghana court, or the if a room, 10 every PM American court. America judges any lawyers atra say bobu asem na ma the akopam ne say honorable can accomplish kwa Japan a ogina ye in the ticket of NPP sen ko pese wo ye frankatuni edema NPP no asem no ebuabo no Anas man say defamation of character ebuabo no say pa ama wanimu nkunim wadi mu ntwo American court wo New Jersey the $18 million, $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, $15 million, $17, $18 million. Say Honorable Canada accomplish kwa Japan. Untuya. Efama Anas. Aremiyao Anas. Ase mwene ma. Ase dunketia. Eka se biu kwasiye binti. Mesidan. Kwasiye binti. Eti Anas edinkunim. Wane Honorable Canada Japan and says some American court. Now, you know about Kevin Taylor, or also the Inchimaba, Loud Silence TV. So, with all due respect,
you know, we're going to take it easy. We're going to take it cool. We want Ghanaians to understand what has actually happened. Say, Osham Ghana and then Yumbria, Yempese, Yebemana Shawosu, because Eba court in Sama, Ayana in Sembebre, and Nipa Bintiasie, and it's in Yumbrimina Butra, Mema Ghana for Tiasie say. Investigative journalist will be animal we are see afanena Anas Arumia Anas for about 3 years in the Canada Japan our court our America because say Imra Kennedy de me court and I think the same time and Anas so a day a year Kennedy court ever defamation or say Anas din e can in some eto Anas so Anas Arumia Anas ehun say I was say also obi atena asem say in some Kennedy e kafa na hono enya no kre a lot of things were said. A lot of allegations were made, and Anas wanted the allegations proven in court for the world to know that all the allegations that were made against him, Anas in Samania Katonosono, Sebio Nanukribienim, and that he has been diligent and clean in his job, and that whatever Canada Japan, Aka Ana Eye, Ewo Ghana, and in Samoka as a member of parliament, then they were all lies, and that he was using the privilege he had, being a member of parliament. Being a lawmaker to intimidate and force people to believe what was not there. Canada Japan, can send me briefer Anas home. Canada Japan, catch we have to say Anas Edibone, Anas Ediu, Anas Ayanomebia, Sibu, Ghana Funina, Entra ni encourage Anas Eni Pabonini. anaasɛ hu sɛ asɛm no ɛwɔ sɛ onya nkyerɛmu paa na Kennedy enya ngyinasoɔ ɛma wiase nyina hu sɛ sɛbio ne dwuma a odi no ɛnyɛ nipa bi ho tanti na odi dwuma no na mmom sɛ ewiase ebehu sɛ nokorɛ sɛbio dwuma a yɛnyina yɛdi ɛyɛ kɔte bɛka anaasɛ journalism anaa nhwehwɛmu journalism no sɛbio ɔmfa adwene mu bɔne ɛna ɛyɛ nti ɔsaa ka kyerɛ Kennedy ɔka kyerɛ no mo sɛ ɔbɛpɛ nkyerɛkyerɛmu yɛ free Kennedy hɔ ɛfiri sɛ na court ɛwɔ Ghana no na nnwoma bi a ɔmo kyerɛ wɔ Ghana no na emu nhyɛda nda hɔ mmerɛ bi mebɛka asɛm bi wɔ ha. I came here and I spoke on this matter when Kennedy Agyapong was in court with Anas Arumia. Anas at a point screamed at the judge, insulted the judge, cursed Anas and warned and did everything in court. But at the end of the day, the judge who sat or who was basically presiding over the case made that just pass under the bridge. These were things that we were raising concerns about how the judiciary in Ghana, most of the judges, how transparent they are and how honest they are in their deliberation. Yatena ha kan se bebre chirechire mu dwedwe mu magana 40 as say your court no and your judicial system, the way it's being run no, majority of Ghanaians who want justice, no, they might have to leave Ghana and go seek justice out somewhere because it is looking like our judges, our court, and let me just not make it judges, our judiciary was looking very tainted that we thought it was. And this is another case that is proven, say, Ghana for can we trust our judiciary fully? I am a living example of what actually happened. Kennedy Agyapong, basically because what's not Ghana, it me bullying for court. Sebio, omutumi use judges be Kennedy General Chief so edidi judge atem kaso ekwasia or one judge or threatening a life. Still, nothing happened. Enini Yeboah was the Chief Justice then. They just told Kennedy to, please, don't do that, tone down. Kennedy walked. So at a point, Kennedy became very, very powerful in his head because he felt, say, he can even insult and threaten a judge on TV, and the Chief Justice then, Enini Yeboah, would just call him and say, we are sorry for insulting us. So Kennedy became very powerful. Even in court, Kennedy was showing the manhood, letting people know that he controls the court in Ghana. And it's not just Kennedy Agyapong. It is the consistency it's from our politicians and people with a little bit of wealth and power in Ghana, how they are able to maneuver, how they are able to manipulate, how they are able to infiltrate and use the little influence they have in Ghana to decide how cases go in Ghana. And I kept saying to Ghanaians to say, Sibia Emra etie ewo eye America, any other countries, they uphold the judicial system and the rule of law. No? In Ghana, no, it is looking like everything falls short. And that is something we have been talking about over the years. Now, Ababa Bedrua say, a member of parliament, a lawmaker, twice in the United States of America, has lost the case in the US. And how difficult was this? It was all about proving your case, putting your facts on the table for a judge who is reasonable and rational to make a decision. That's all. If you're a judge, you are not supposed to look at where the person is coming from, who he represents, the kind of position they have. It is about the law and what the law says and how people are able to prove their cases. Every day I was on our judges, on our judiciary, and at a point I was on some of our journalists. Even when journalists go out there, put their life on the line or their lives on the line, win cases, go through a lot. We get journalists in Ghana who connive with politicians, connive with people with power to suppress sometimes their two Ahmed Swalenibi murder journalists. I remember when the PDS issue by Gabi Ochredakun Echo Court, a journalist called our friend Samens Samolata Mensa of City News or City FM or Channel 1 News. He was the one who went to court to say Gabi Ochredakun witness, and that the court should listen to him, the journalist. Remember, when I did the PDS story, I brought documents to prove Gabi Ochredakun audio. I brought documents to prove that Gabi is a criminal and that he was caught on tape discussing Ghana Yesikasem. And so a journalist in Ghana called Samolata Mensa went to court and said he was Gabi's witness and that whatever I said was a lie, a fellow journalist. So now you see where we are. We need to protect everyone. It is not about me. It is not about Nas. It's about you walking on the street. Because Nas has a lot of influence around the world. and see how he's being suppressed. He was being suppressed in Ghana. They were pressing his neck, even though he had the opportunity to speak. They did everything possible to press his neck. Anas is more powerful than 90% of you Ghanaians watching me. There are so many countries Anas will go a the presidential treatment. They will not give you. But see how our court treated Anas. See how it is still treating Anas. See how, at the end of the day, being patriotic and trying to save your nation, how it turns out to be, because we, the citizens, don't even understand. Because the Kennedy, Anas or Ghana, nana person the Yemeno, you bet me the diwo. Now, with all due respect, won't put the uni a pen a kasem. With us, at least we have a voice. So we need to get serious as a people. This clearly shows to say we need to seriously look at our judiciary in Ghana. We need to look at our courts. We need to look at our judges. We need to look at the whole judicial system. It is sick. And this goes back to the conversation, say, the new government, do they need to overhaul the judiciary? Yes, we will have this conversation after we have this interview with a lawyer, Evans Salasi Adeka. After this short break, I'll put a lawyer on. He will explain to us how it started and how it ended. He is going to let us know case details. I don't know how good his tree is, but I know so when to me tree more, I'll do my best to do the breakdown after speaking to him. So I'm going to make a quick turn. When I come back, I will get lawyer on the line for us to have the conversation. You're still watching with all due respect extended version. My name is Kevin Akobedute. All right, welcome back to the show. You're still watching with all due respect extended version. We have Anas lawyer, one of his representatives or his counsels, Evans Salasi Adeka. He's on the line to speak to us on this very matter. Good evening, lawyer.
Good evening, Kevin.
Thank you very much. My first question to you is a very difficult one. You speak English. You speak from your name, Salasi. You speak ever like me, Melakope. Do you speak the Akan language?
Yes, please. I speak.
Good.
Tree. Yeah.
It makes it easy for you and easy for me too. Good evening and welcome back to the show. Today, we got news that Anas Arimia Anas. Or Ghanaian or investigative journalist. His work, over the years, he has gone through a lot of court appearances, in Ghana and also in the United States. And the Abetin say Kennedy Agyapong or former MP. A few years ago, announced the investigative piece by na efa football home GFA, and at the end of the day, Nyoma Bibresi, one of his colleagues or any investigations near the day, Ahmed Swale, FMU Ehre. After that, series of Nyama Esi, a lot of information about out from Kennedy Agyapong, a lot of allegations that were made against Anas. Say it wouldn't crumple Ahmed Swale, at a point Kennedy was insinuating on radio and on TV, say Anas Nimhubi. A lot of things were said by Kennedy Agyapong. He even went further to have a whole documentary session at his premises. Or Tunidin, who watches The Watchman, Obo video, trying to create the impression that whatever Anas put out initially as the original documentary, he has the original tapes that were hidden and all that. Now, fast forward, Anas felt to say there was a lot of allegations made. He thought he needed to clean himself because of the reputation he carries and also his work or ended up in New Jersey in a court. To make it easy for us, we are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again, Udini Evans Salasi Adeka, renowned lawyer. Bepacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today, say, a judgment in the New Jersey court, Abba?
Okay, Mr. CP. The interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S.
Yes.
sometime in 2021.
Yes.
And that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there's if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, "Yeah, papa no, and someone just like okay, about my client." So, like, you know, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. And so, interesting enough, after reviewing the video, you know, in our training, there's something that we are taught. So, in your case, case, no, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring, you know. So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you know, you tweet back court, New Jersey, as I say, yeah, papa no video no, so yeah, papa na the new some say, or kasi fee, New Jersey. Now, when you say your crew move for so no, the diaspora is very important. Obviously, what you do is testament to that fact. And you know, there was an audience that he spoke to. We're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, you know, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now, when you say you're a lawyer. So obviously, he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And you know, there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Odette Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I put him into the research, and we drafted a complaint, and like Mikhail also a lawyer. So we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So you know, after the preliminary back and forth, you know, initially the case was we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit sometime, I think.
The complaint.
Yeah, sometime, I think, in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And you know, by law, no, there was a period by which Yapapano Anka was responding with what is known as an answer. But so Yapapano Anka filed a response, and my case no call into default. Now, after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now, a case near Fale, you know, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say you a cron or a cron 4. The second one was you did in terms of or behind the medal of Yunia Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now, the third one so say a serial killer in terms of Chinese will be Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal. The blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication, behind would the same Biana, that means say Biana and no trigger man and also no will be and I say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is Obi. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went undefended after the response time, now we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Okay. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers. and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record. And the case went at that point. Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously because near the judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Be reopen default. They argued that they had a solid defense, and I think right around then, and I almost got judgments from Ghana. Almost really see it. In general, no so say almost defense to a case I
because
New Jersey.
We need Ghana. So case no
exactly.
In terms of no by almost case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that the defamation sits here. Say kind of the work of court. It's a separate case.
Yeah.
It's not to me the agent of Ghana and family defending we. You still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, in this jurisdiction, the law is the same essentially because but you also free other countries. There are certain times that even though of presidential value, I just said, judge into me so India, but to me the two senior, especially in cases maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances. Sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, Emrano had drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes, in this case, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard.
Okay.
And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And, we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on, and we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides, senior answer na ever try case the difference between what happened with Ghana and see Johannes said trial by jury. It's judge or judge back one I say judge me no I say judge me and send a big but normal people on the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and a two and from. In this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for when the prospective jurors are brought in. We are from a veneer. It's a veneer of 60 citizens, tax-paying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings. Were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo. Say bia
vetiomo, vetiomo just said ubi asemu bi anaso unimubi asemu fan ho anase udu ho bia nyame bi osom no So we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from area to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday, we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements. And then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, judge, in this case, judge, Emrano. Na Omodiama, jury, no make church from making country first. No more so people are inside. Aquaco decide the different deliberations. Me nim there some mechanic but me so Almost person. Okay. Abubu. Okay. Okay. And it is something more about Thursday about 4:30. Yeah, the church on money now, and there are some more 4:30. Into now, yeah, I just say we be an 4:30. No, yeah, caught a Puma right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. Into no, yeah, no, I just so baby at Nana, yeah, take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts now the buy and the civil claims now the buy.
The defense.
His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and accepted truth as his defense. And so
time I caught to say sa counting na model bono no say on and us back and forth, right? The only claim of making or say banter. I just say we can't wait internet and share or no, they're not all can you say obi to be more almost tomorrow.
But oh, you do court me there. That was not.
And your son of Hokai, Ura court no G2.
Yeah, or maintaining the position say no can or the standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically, remember just of practice and Ukraine on your bonibia.
Okay.
So to support that, no, or they move your child in it to who watches a watchman. But they are also by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord to it. So jury never bugui. And about 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were the multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's, and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're transferred from based on address, voter registration data. And to but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and saw said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuel.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no be doing common. And also there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes on there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I will not say use that. I will not say use that common sense.
Listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, "Oh no, we need to be it's actually you don't power between say over camera actually and that's how it went. But what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas asem na working.
But Anas, Anas. Also a very astute lawyer, new beer, and and some people walk like a car on Jim, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, and also started doing anything. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, trial, the peace. Schedule there, and from this time to this time, can you support staff that work out we're dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I better say at this maybe by this time we'll be say I'll grow or they'll commit to the right senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire unfortunately me and Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, in these days we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Complaint the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million, $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, you papa about court. Now the lawyer just said what he was willing to settle this matter for, and he said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Mukodru Hono, Anas initially, you have kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And while the client and Anas Kasa say a woman saw $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then any priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of the experience, now unim sibi anyo matiano, uno client here Anas Kasa and say it would be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, Okra no client Anas no. You did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yeah, like I said, your lawyer at New York.
Oh, yeah.
Also come home. Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. When my guy is there,
yes,
D here is there, Crow is there, yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So, the whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
In spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, $10,000 to end the case.
No.
Arbitrator who said no, some way I'm sure so I can be personal. So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So like to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us what unanimously what they had arrived at. But we decided to keep it under wraps because there was a component be na you multiply that 18 million no, by 5 money do 90 million for a total of about
that was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say back to your board with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yana pay your coin no nema ba we ended up leaving that alone a pursuit of times 5 because almost file motions be I just say or see a two boss na in terms of that and sana say one way or another I go back I could pursue that times 5 and I say depending on what happens be I between German and cafe. At this time almost my court no say almost busa into so.
Okay. So at this point, Oma Makote who say ombeba 80 million or omo pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that?
Okay. So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper, a judgment. I just say court reading seal better so.
Yeah.
That will take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a baby motion, matese binu kasa appeal by nya appeal nyendi. Depending on how that motion goes,
okay.
We will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our times 5 of that 18 million, or a big jam and a. So depending on how that motion goes,
So for now,
yes.
example, 18, Obin Timinka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, so much to grab back then, we still have the opportunity to go for times 5.
That is 50. Okay.
Yeah, and to call extra 50 plus. Yeah, hypothetically, so much to back then, we can go for another times 5.
You as a Ghanaian and also a lawyer and defending a fellow lawyer who is a journalist. This has been an experience. Do you want to share something with us when it comes to these kind of defamations and how comparing our judicial system back home and in the States? I'm not forcing you to condemn any, but I'm trying to find out from you. There are so many people in Ghana, they don't really understand how the American judiciary works because we are so used to the Ghana style of judiciary whereby things go a certain way. And I would say sometimes very, very slow. And sometimes you need to know something for even things to move the pace you want. In terms of how this case, how fluid it went, and comparing it to back home. I'm saying back home because I am more concerned back home, and especially when Kennedy presented a case which is the same defamation case, and he tried to use that as a basis that what he did was right. From your experience as a professional, I don't want to say what have you learned. What have you? What do you want to share something with us before you go?
Yeah. Me share all the young people in Ghana. Me show them crying say,
yeah.
Now the country is a young country, so I tend not to criticize too strongly.
Yeah.
But Oman and young people need to take their rightful position in the country because my only thing is that young people see that is wrong or they know it's wrong, they need to stand up for their rights. The country is still young, so I would not be pointing any fingers at anybody. But we do my American school from high school. I lawyer, and I know America very well. And for the past 7 years, I was licensed in Ghana in 2014, and I've been practicing actively for the last 7 years in Ghana. See, I know the problems that we face. I think it's a systemic problem that allows people to hide in there to sort of engage in certain conduct because democrats, say the system, justice system, does, if it does not guarantee justice, and then one day, there's going to be a problem. And Omano, I like to direct my comments to all young politicians, those who have entered the fray, about 40 and less, Let's not, if we see things that are not right, let's not say because you benefited from it because your party we want to say party we we're going to condone it. We all need to make sure that we are contributing to building a Ghana that we can all live in. And, I would like to end on that. The system is not perfect. There are many things that we can do to also improve it. I will not talk about the substance of some of the things, but I also think the judicial in Ghana is burdened with a lot of work. There are certain things that exist here in the US that they don't have that perhaps need to be implemented. Some of these judges in this country, in the US, are ably assisted by law clerks who help them lessen their burden. But like I said, the young people in Ghana, we need to look at ourselves, because I've had judges tell me, say, I suggested that, and I've had judges tell me, say, oh no, if a young person cry, but an office on your we want to say leaky judgment at this car before the judgment is granted. So I will not be pointing fingers at, what happened in Ghana was a travesty of justice. I'll say that without mincing words.
The defamation, now Kennedy Winnie,
Absolutely, because I'm now a solid, which back to the member can say, before a court can pronounce someone as a criminal, there ought to be a due process ought to be followed. And I have a publication that is going to come out on this subject in a very near future. For the courts to have called my client a criminal without giving him a criminal trial was a travesty of justice. And the court in New Jersey rightfully classified that as obiter is dicta. It can never be a criminal conviction.
So that
because
was
one of the things
that was how the court in New Jersey, the Superior Court in New Jersey, actually addressed that particular.
Yes, because the will be criminal. Will be criminal. You can bring proof to say the person has been adjudged to be a criminal. You understand? So some of the Ghana judgments the by court jurors when we brought a police clearance certificate at CID headquarters through the proper normal channels, we got it. It was sealed before we brought it to court, and that was giving more credence than what the judge said about Anas being a criminal, because that is the right thing.
How do you feel as a Ghanaian lawyer, a young Ghanaian lawyer standing before a U.S. judge, making a statement like this from a court in Ghana? I feel it's quite embarrassing.
Like I said, our country is growing. We are the U.S. is 200 and something years old. We are 60 something years old. So I like to always look at things from an optimistic standpoint. I hope that this is going to be a lesson, because Ghana is not in Ghana. Just by dint of even some of your papa no cry in Ghana. Ufa Uber Kumwa. I remember say in the middle of the trial, Uber Bia driver and I catch him say, I'm from Ghana tourism country. Mano is young, but it's a country that we all need to protect and we need to guard zealously. And that starts from the delivery of justice, because no one should have to feel that they need to go outside the four corners of Ghana to get justice. Justice emanates from the people, and we have enough people in Ghana. About judges now, because I saw say recently, judges know. TV so they are educating people about the jury system.
Thanks so much for your time.